Hello and a warm welcome to Federal Special Program Capital Beat. In a first, the Supreme Court has laid down timelines for governors to decide on bills forwarded to them by state legislatures. A bench comprising of Justices J.B. Pardiwala and R. Mahadevan ruled yesterday that the governor, as the constitutional head of the state, is reposed with the responsibility to accord primacy to the will and welfare of the people of the state and earnestly work in harmony with the state machinery, as his oath not only makes his mandate anything but clear, rather also demands it of the governor owing to the intimate and delicate nature of the functions that he or she performs and the potency of the ramifications that could ensue or be unleashed upon the state. Now, what the judgment says that the governor must be conscious to not create roadblocks or chokehold the state legislature in order to thwart and break the will of the people for political edge. I'm going to read that verdict further to you. Members of the state legislature, having been elected by the people of the state, are better attuned to ensure the well being of the people of the state. SC has also ruled that, hence, any action contrary to the express choice of the people, in other words, the state legislature, would be a renege of the constitutional oath. We find it opposite to observe that constitutional authorities occupying high office must be guided by the values of the Constitution. This is what the verdict has said. And the verdict has also fixed a timeline of 1 month and 3 months for the governor to respond. And the verdict very clearly says that the governors cannot sit on the bill. And if they do that, it is arbitrary and illegal. So this is a landmark verdict which has been given by the Supreme Court, which fixes the timelines for the functioning of the governors. But will the governors obey this timeline which is put out by the Supreme Court? And what will happen to governors like R.N. Ravi? Do they have the moral fiber to continue in the office? Joining me now this evening is former Karnataka Governor Margaret Alva, a veteran Congress leader. Thank you so much, ma'am, for joining. And it's wonderful to have you on a day like this, a landmark Supreme Court verdict, and the next day we have you for an analysis. What is your view about the verdict which has been given by the Supreme Court on the Tamil Nadu governor, Mr. R.N. Ravi?
To begin with, I've not been the governor of Karnataka, right?
Okay.
I've been of other states, not Karnataka. To begin with, I would say the verdict is timely, much needed, and welcomed by all sections. Governors were, if I may use the term, running riot from Raj Bhagats, doing what they wanted, and they felt that they were a law unto themselves. And therefore, I welcome the intervention of the Supreme Court. You had spoken to me the other day on the subject, and I had said, let us await the decision of the Supreme Court. It has come, and I think it's a landmark judgment that has been given. To begin with, they have said the governor's actions are erroneous and illegal. This, I think, sums it all up. Under the Constitution, the governors have certain powers, but you cannot misuse your position and interpret those powers to your liking. Three things have happened in this judgment, and I would like to list them. First of all, the court has invoked the extraordinary powers under Article 142 and has declared the bills which had been withheld by the governor, 10 of them, and over long periods, as passed. So they have become law as far as the state is concerned, because though the governor has not signed them, has not returned them, they have been declared to be passed by the Supreme Court under the extraordinary powers that it enjoys under Article 142. The second, and I think which is very important, as I said, has declared the actions of the governor as illegal and erroneous. In the face of this, I feel any governor with self respect should resign and go home. Whether Governor Ravi will have the courage to do so, I do not know, but that would be the best thing for him to do. And the third thing, and very important thing, that the court has done is to fix time limits. Now, when a legislation is passed, the governor has four options. First, to sign it and it becomes law. Second is to return it for reconsideration if he has some doubts or needs some clarifications, which the state government has to do. And if that legislation is passed for the second time and sent, the governor is expected without delay to approve it and sign it. And the fourth option is for the governor to decide to send it to the president for consideration. Now, my point is that you can't just take legislation passed by the assembly and sit over it for 3 years. You have no reason to hold it up. If you have doubts, send it back, and if the assembly passes it for the second time, you are bound to approve it. Unless you want to send it to the president, in which case now the court has given them 3 months' time to do that. But otherwise, every bill must be approved within 1 month. This, I think, is very, very important. And if they don't follow this rule, then there's going to be a constitutional crisis.
No, but the court said, and in its verdict yesterday, that if the governors continue to behave as they were behaving, then their actions will be subject to judicial scrutiny. Now, what does that mean? That the court will come down heavily on the governors? Can the court really do that? For now, in the verdict, they've set timelines. They have recommended that this is what the governors ideally should be doing. Now, there are question marks whether the governors will adhere to these timelines, whether it is the Kerala governor, Arif Mohammed, whether it is Mr. R.N. Ravi from Tamil Nadu. These are the errant governors who've not functioned in the manner they should be doing. So what if they don't obey these timelines, ma'am?
Well, there are ifs and buts, but I believe that a constitutional authority who has taken the oath on the Constitution of India is bound to follow the directives of the Supreme Court. And if they don't, then I believe the President of India is duty bound to step in and see that the governors are made to resign. This would be the only way in which the verdict of the Supreme Court could be implemented in a meaningful way.
But, ma'am, can the president still ask for the resignation of governors like Mr. R.N. Ravi? After this verdict, can she do it on her own because the president has the powers?
Yes, of course. And I think they should voluntarily step down and not wait until they are asked to go. Like the famous saying is, go before people ask why.
Yes.
You see, why? I'm sorry, before the people ask why not. Because I think this has become scandalous. It's not me and you, but everybody is talking about this. What are the governors up to? Under 142, it is very rarely that the Supreme Court has taken over the powers literally of the governor and approved the bills and say these have become law. It's a slap on the face of the governor, isn't it?
Right.
But I welcome the decision. I congratulate the Supreme Court. And I do hope that sense will now prevail, both in the central government, in Rashtrapati Bhavan, and in the Raj Bhavans. It's a great victory for the state governments. What the Lieutenant Governor did in Delhi with the Aam Party
Yes.
government is scandalous. You did not allow a government elected by such a massive majority to function. The governor was acting like the backroom boy of the Home Ministry, and he got away with it.
Right. Like you said, ma'am, that it's just not Tamil Nadu. This verdict has an impact on other states also, and especially the ones which are non-BJP ruled states, and the kind of message which has gone to the governors. But the thing is that now, what about the center-state relations and the federal polity? Because it also has an impact on that as well. Could this verdict become a big electoral issue in election-bound states like Kerala, like Tamil Nadu, which are going to polls next year?
For now, it's a great victory for the state governments. Kerala is in the Supreme Court. Telangana is in the Supreme Court. All the state governments have been appealing to the Supreme Court for justice against the unconstitutional functioning of Raj Bhavans. And I think it's high time that the central government and Rashtrapati Bhavan take note of the very strong stand of the Supreme Court and put things right.
But do you think that now, when the matters, whether they are related to Kerala or Telangana, when they come up in the Supreme Court, those matters, of course, will be taken in, will take this particular verdict in context with Tamil Nadu into consideration, and the bills will
I
be
think,
passed.
I think the other matters pending before the Supreme Court now are infructuous. I
Yeah.
really believe that this judgment should cover all those cases because they are similar issues. And I don't see any bench of the Supreme Court now going against it. I believe that the other pending appeals there should really now cease, and this judgment should become applicable to all the pending matters.
But, ma'am, do you really fear that, like, say, for example, in case of the election commission rules, there was an order which came from the Punjab and the Haryana High Court on videography, and immediately after that, the election rules were changed. And now, since this verdict has come up, which has set deadlines and times, not deadlines, but timelines for the governors, do you fear that the government would come up with some other circuitous way of empowering the governors further, maybe an amendment in the Article 200? I mean, it's just allowed thinking, but can they do that now? Because they were using governors as political appointees, they were using them as weapons when it came to unleashing some kind of a war on the political opponents.
With this Home Minister, anything is possible. I'm not, I'm not saying they won't try to do it, but there is the public, there is the legal fraternity, there is respect for the Supreme Court, which has to be kept in mind. And more than anything, public opinion is going to be against the government if they try to go back on this judgment.
But you were also saying that the president has the powers to ask for the resignations of the governors, and maybe Mr. R.N. Ravi is the first example in case, because the verdict just came in context with Tamil Nadu yesterday. Do you think that the government? Do you think that the president really would act that harshly, which he should be at this point of time? Especially, you said that you have to respect what Supreme Court has said. So, totally respecting the Supreme Court's verdict, what should the president, according to you, be doing in the first place?
I believe the president will abide by this verdict of the Supreme Court. Even earlier, I remember the case when the government of Bihar, on the advice of the governor Bhutta Singh, was dismissed. You remember that? And then they appealed, and the Supreme Court set it aside, and the assembly was restored. And the then government, the Congress government, told Mr. Bhuta Singh to go home. He had to resign. So, where there have been such clear cases of misdemeanor on behalf, by the governors, then they have paid the price. And why not now? I believe that constitutional authorities must function under the rules of the Constitution. They cannot be above the Constitution. And
But, ma'am,
I think,
right.
yes.
No, go ahead. Go ahead. Then I'll ask you the question.
Say what you have to say.
Yeah, no, what I'm saying is that Mr. R.N. Ravi has already made the mistake. He has committed what was not correct, what was not appropriate in the post of in the post of the governor. Now, do you think that he can be penalized in any way, except that, of course, that he should be voluntarily resigning or the president stepping in and asking for his resignation? Is there any other way to?
The only way is to impeach. And I don't think anybody is going to go in for that. The most, if I may say, the best thing for Governor Ravi would be to step down. And I think there is no way out for him. How can he sit in Raj Bhavan in Tamil Nadu?
Absolutely.
And be head of the government when the Supreme Court has come down so heavily on his actions?
But it's more than 24 hours. We haven't heard from the Tamil Nadu Raj Bhavan any sort of intimation that he's stepping down. We don't even see any murmurs of the fact that Mr. R.N. Ravi will step down. So is he going to continue his brazen self? And if the center also doesn't ask, if the president hasn't asked, what is happening behind the scenes, we do not know. But as of now, it looks as if the story is the same as it was.
For all practical purposes, Governor Ravi has become persona non grata in Tamil Nadu. If he wants to sit inside the Raj Bhavan, lock himself in, because the public is not going to have any respect for him or accept him. In the circumstances, how is he going to function? Unless the government decides to transfer him somewhere else. But the other states also will not be happy to have him. So he has very few options left before him, is what I would say. The president is abroad at the moment on a foreign trip. And I suppose by the time she comes back, the government will have to prepare the advice that they have to give her on this account. And I hope good sense will prevail.
Right. But what is the kind of message which has gone out loud and clear with the other states also, and the governors who are sitting there in that post? What is the message which is very, very terse, very, very clear from the Supreme Court, that now there is no scope of messing up at all?
I agree with you. It's a clear message which the governors who have been functioning as agents of a political party must take into account and follow the line. There are constitutional provisions. You are appointed under the Constitution and you have to abide by it.
Right. But, ma'am, do you think that this issue can really snowball into a big political issue, given the fact that elections are around the corner in Tamil Nadu, in Kerala, and both these states you have had errant governors who've not functioned properly? So will this become a big issue now?
It's a great victory for these states. Besides this, the delimitation issue, the various other issues which the southern states are now focusing on, are all going to snowball into a national, if I may say so, debate. Everyone is talking about it. It will become a national issue and it is bound to have repercussions, especially on elections in the southern states.
Right. But do you think that this issue also can unite the India alliance further? All the opposition parties will come together because there's some issues, like say, for example, in the Waqf bill, all the opposition seems to be united. Even Mamta Banerjee apparently seems to be, and today also she said that Waqf law will not be implemented in West Bengal. So do you think that this governor's issue or this verdict again will further unite and unify the opposition parties?
I agree with you. Mamta is one of those who suffered the most from the Raj Bhavan in West Bengal. I mean,
Yes.
all the governments have been at the receiving end, and I don't think that any one of them are going to compromise on this issue.
Right. So, ma'am,
It
what
has
would you
given,
really say?
it has given, it has given, if I may say, a new impetus to the opposition parties to make common cause on
Right.
issues like this.
Right. And do you think that it also cements the narrative around the constitution further? It gives more, as you said, that it gives more impetus. So this entire the narrative built around constitution, this verdict actually strengthens that narrative further.
You know, the constitution and its implementation has been an issue of debate for months now, what the BJP government is trying to do with the constitution. And this is only adding fuel to the fire. This judgment is going to be quoted everywhere as proof and justification of the stand that the state governments have been very wrongly treated by Raj Bhavans when they are opposition states.
Right. But, ma'am, I mean, this verdict is a message loud and clear for the governors. But how big is the embarrassment for the Modi government at the center?
I don't know how they will take it. If they act in tune with the constitutional provisions, if they will take the verdict of the Supreme Court as a lesson in constitutional functioning, then they will certainly be able to come out of it with clean hands. But if they are going to justify the governors as against the Supreme Court verdict, then I don't think it will go well with the people of India.
All
And
right. So we'll
ultimately,
have.
they are the judges, right? You can do what you want, but ultimately, it's the people of India that decide what is okay and what is not. And it's high
Absolutely.
time the government began to review the functioning of Raj Bhavans and ensure that a certain amount of dignity and propriety comes to prevail.
But do you think that the governor's office needs some more specific guidelines, or is this timeline which has been set by the Supreme Court is enough to give them the message? Or do we, like last time when I spoke to you on the phone, you were also saying that we need to come up with specific guidelines as to how the governor should function and how he shouldn't, he or she. So do you think that this timeline is enough to send the message loud and clear to the governors, or they need something more than this?
It depends on how they behave now, what the reaction and the repercussions are going to be. If they still persist, I'm sure the Supreme Court will come out with something much stronger.
Right. Thank you so much, ma'am, for joining on the Federal. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.